Park City, Utah, high in the Wasatch Mountains of the central western state of the USA. We are at the venue of the 2002 Winter Olympic Games, and it is raining. Snow on the ground, ice on the track, but rain in the air. And that may have a distinct effect on our second four-man bobsleigh run of the weekend. It's World Cup number 2 in the Wiesmann World Cup program, and the weather that started bright, crisp and clear and proceeded that way through most of training has now turned for the worse. I'm Martin Haven. Sitting alongside me is Olympic champion Kaylee Humphries. And Kaylee, we've got a really tight race on our hands all the way through the top 20. We've got lots of ties, and at the top of the field they are racked in very close. Max Arndt in 4th place after Heat 1, just 2/10 away from a gold medal.
It's definitely a very, very close race. This track always seems to have ties in very close races. The start is going to be super crucial on second run, 100%. Guys need to be giving it everything and getting in and down and loaded as fast as possible, and drivers need to be making 0 errors.
The last 10 World Cup races on this track have been won either by German or Russian sleds. We've got 2 Germans in the top 4. Manuel Mahata lies 3rd. He's only 12 hundredths off the gold medal from Heat 1. That's definitely an achievable target. The one fly in the ointment of history would be your Stephen Holcomb, the world champion, the Olympic champion in 4-man, the night train driver in 2nd place after Heat 1. 9 hundredths behind our race leader. But last weekend, of course, Holcomb came 2nd in Lake Placid to this man, Kaylee Humphries, Alexander Zubkov, our current leader again.
Zubkov just seems to be on fire. I mean, 4-man driving, he definitely is the top, as we saw last week, and you know, we'll see again, but very consistent, amazing pilot, and he's going to be looking at gold in Sochi in just over a year.
9 hundredths of a second separates Alexander Zubkov from Stephen Holcomb, and that literally is the blink of an eye between the two of them. Mahata's not out of it, but look behind all those sleds racked in from about 4th to 14th, and there's going to be lots of changes in our top 10, and this is part of the reason why there's very few things you can do about rain on an ice track. It will soften the ice no matter what you do to the refrigeration, and it's up to the jury to try and decide not if the conditions are good, but if they're as fair as you can make them for everybody. It's going to rain on everybody. You just got to hope it rains the same on everybody.
Definitely, and it's hard for the track crew as well. They really want to crank the refrigeration to try and keep it as cold as possible, but with the rain, you're just going to get the frost, and again, that's when you get the difference, and it's not fair for every single competitor. So they'll have it as high as they can possibly have it, but trying to keep it consistent is going to be the challenge, and trying not to, especially on soft ice, have the track deteriorate as much as it possibly can. You're going to have the fastest guys that are going off last, and you're going to want to see them succeed.
Well, it reminds me of Lake Placid 2009, the World Championships. The skeleton finale turned into a whitewater rafting race. And I remember maybe it was Duff Gibson at the time saying, hey, it's an outdoor sport. If we wanted conditions to be perfect, we'd be curlers. And there is a degree of that, you know. Mother Nature, you know, you're a ski racer, Steve Holcomb the same. You know how capricious Mother Nature can be. You've just got to deal with the hand that you're dealt. Let's get our second heat underway here in Park City, Utah, the 4-man bobsleigh. Simone Bertazzo of Italy, 20th after the first heat, looking to move up. The closest sled to him just 2 hundredths of a second in front. .497 first heat getaway, 5:03 in the second. That's 600 slower, and one of the things that the jury will look at is the condition of the start area, because with these heavy sleds and all this beef, it could tear up really quick.
5:03, not the strongest start. They seem to be, you know, quite a ways off the pace, definitely, at the start this year, but Simone, a great pilot, and he's really going to do what he can in order to bring them back into the mix.
132 kilometers an hour, 82.1 miles an hour. The speeds here so fast, so early in the run, and they just stay there as well. 130.1, still over 80 miles an hour as he comes down the finish straight. 49.08, well, his first heat 48.66. Habitually, you would expect a second heat to be a little slower. The track's had a lot of use. and it's not easy to get it quite as polished as in the first run. So we'll have to see what the next few produce. And of course, the other thing, Kaylee, is that drivers at the bottom of the top 10 may not be as consistent as the front runners.
Definitely. What we're going to look for is just that drop-off, and as long as every single sled, the next couple sleds, are slower in the second run, you know it's pretty consistent and the track's holding up as well as can be expected.
Simone Battazzo has the lead of the race at the moment. There he is with his helmet off. Not looking overjoyed with either of his slides today, I thought. Next up from the Czech Republic, Jan Verber. Started a fraction quicker than the Italians and came down just 200s quicker. Their sled, like everybody else's, maximum allowable weight 690 kilos for the 4-man sled, of which you've got to say probably 400 plus is just manpower.
It's great to see these guys in the top 20. You see the guy on the left wearing a back brace. Pressures get decently high on this track, and it definitely, that load through the body with the weight in the sled and the G-forces, it takes a toll.
Tell me about it. I was crippled by a ride in the backseat of the 4-man a couple of days ago, really struggling as a result. And the pressure comes very early, and unlike any other track in the World Cup campaign, it never releases. 491, good start from them, just within 100th of their first getaway, so that tells us something about the start area.
It does. These guys, consistent starts, that's what they're looking for. They're doing everything that they possibly can to try and move up.
No skids so far, 2200s up. They were only 200s in front of the Italians from the first heat. 132.9, and nearly a full kilometre an hour faster than Battazzo's sled as well. Good run from Jan Verber.
He's definitely getting stronger and stronger each race, driving skills improving more and more. Very impressive to see.
1100s behind the sled that's closest in front of him, so that's his target to try and improve. 129.2, again, good speed from this end of the top 20. And a 48.89, he came down 48.64 in the first heat, so again, that's not too far away from where he was in heat one. The first few runners will get the best of the ice, and if the rain persists and they can't cover enough of the track, then it may well start to slow down. At the moment, Verber gets a good run out of it.
Nice slight wave in down and through that corner, nothing major at all. He's letting it run in through here. You see the sled kind of whip on, whip off, but he's letting the sled run and be fast. You can see some of the shiny marks. Ideally, you want those runner tips to be right in where you've got the lines and the shiny marks from other people that have come down, and you'll see those just get brighter and brighter as more sleds go down.
A little smile from Jan Verber, looked relatively happy with that, and I think he's got right to. He moves into the leader's box with 18 to go. You know what? He might have a chance of overhauling Rico Peter of Switzerland here. This is the Swiss one sled. Stefan Kasper, Thomas Ruff and Simon Friedli. We saw a little bit of manual communication from Ruff at 3 to Kasper at 2, the man right behind the driver. Just tapped him on the helmet to say, OK, you can sit down now. Let's watch the start. See if that's part of their regular routine.
You see the duct tape on his visor as well. That really is just to prevent it from accidentally popping up or flying open. As a pilot, it's definitely one of those things that can happen, does happen, and you want to do everything to prevent it. So you just make sure that when he puts his visor down, it's taped shut for the rest of the ride.
Of course, as you would agree with Pierre Luders, that can't happen when you're wearing goggles rather than a helmet with a visor on.
No, I'm a big fan of the goggles, but aerodynamically, people say it makes a difference. I'd rather see where I'm going than run the risk of not. But every pilot has an individual preference.
Exactly right. 133 kilometers an hour, fastest so far, just creeping away from the Czech Republic. From 500s at the start, up to 9, out to 1700s. Neat run from Rico Peter.
He did. A little bit of a squabble there, 12 to 13. Really, the back end of the sled lifted up hard into 13. Not ideal, a little bit sketch. He just cranked it off just to make sure he got off of corner 13, but
48.80, again about 3/10 slower than his first heat, 2700, so trying Track is losing pace. Not a great load here. Man at 3 stumbles and almost goes headfirst off the sled.
Does, and it makes it hard when the number 2 guy sits down and then 3's got to still try and get in. But they're in perfect position down at the bottom of the track from what we can see. Definitely as he comes in here, you see the whole back of the sled lift up. He would have got too early onto that corner. You see him just crank, and the sled basically does a windshield wiper all down in through 13. That kills any type of time or speed he got at the bottom. But it's the safe line. It's how you're going to keep it down and keep it shiny side up.
That, in polite parlance, is where you haul it off the corner. Nikita Zakharov of Russia then, tied for 16th after the first heat with Justin Cripps of Canada. The only difference between them is that Cripps and his crew started 100th quicker than Zakharov. By the time they got to the end of this 1,300 meters of ice, there wasn't even a hair's breadth between them.
I always find it really interesting to see what each individual team does as their team cheer at the start too. It's always a little bit fun.
It's all part of the bonding experience, isn't it? You know, you race, win, lose or draw as a team, not just as 4 guys who happen to be thrown together, although that's often the way you start off. 4:95 getaway, slipped a little from their first start.
4man is so much about team bonding. It really is, and it makes a big difference. Some of the best teams in the world are A, more experienced, and B, you know, are great and close friends. So the team bonding plays a huge aspect.
Which is why the Movember thing has really taken off so strongly among some of the bobsleigh group, because it's you know, it's an inter-team sort of battle, little rivalry, and a bonding thing, very much.
Very much so.
Even among the girls. 132.1 kilometers an hour, 129.1 at the bottom, just a shade behind our fastest sleds, and Zakharov slips down. That'll be a 19th place finish unless somebody else has dramas. Back reference to girls with moustaches yesterday, Kaylee and the Canadian girls all sporting eyeliner moustaches in support of Movember. Look at the focus here, Kaylee.
Eyes are focused. I mean, he's ready to go. He's prepared. He's very intense, and that visor is real cool.
Yeah, somebody staring at you like that in a dark alley, you want to back away quickly.
Yes, you do, very quickly. And I love the reflective dark visor. So intense.
There you go. You need to get like mirror wayfarers as your instead of your visor, don't you? The mirror cop shades.
I have some.
Oh, here we go. Justin Cripps of Canada then, tied exactly with Nikita Zakharov of Russia for 16th spot. But this is now into that group of sleds where there are 10 of them covered by 1/10 of a second. Rico Peter leads. Cripps doesn't care much about him. He just wants to claim a few scalps by moving up.
You can see the spike marks on the back of Jean-Nic's calves. I mean, that's going to happen. You're going to get the guy number 3 that's going to just chuck those spikes into you, especially when you're loading aggressively. Down and in, no problems.
Fast hands from Graham Rimholt, flicking in those rear bars as the man at 4 drops in. Really well drilled, 85.8, very good initial momentum as well.
He's having a great run so far. Definitely.
Well, we're looking at such tiny margins, 700ths of a second up, 132. You can cheer them, come on, 132.3. Kaylee's bouncing up and down on the seat like an old-fashioned.
I just want to watch and see what happens. Commentate. No, he's losing time all the way down the track. I mean, he's making a few little mistakes here and there. It looks pretty. It isn't quite so fast. He's dropped definitely a couple times. He's not going to be super happy with this run. Falls down 4 spots. So
wow.
Overall, not very impressive. But the guys pushed phenomenal, and they really did everything they can.
Again, this is only his 2nd World Cup weekend, having raced in North America's Cup. Of course, he's got a little bit of experience here on these North American, US and Canadian tracks. But, you know, as a rookie, you come from Lake Placid. Is he now steering too much here still in Park City?
It could potentially be. I mean, it's hard. It's definitely, every pilot, it takes years of experience to figure out too much, too little. These are all brand new sleds for Justin Cripps. They're Eurotechs. They're going to drive extremely differently than anything he's ever driven, and he's still learning his own style. I mean, they've got a new guy on the brakes this week with Graham Rinholm, Jean-Luc. I am just messing this up all over the place. Jean-Nic, Luc. all that kind of stuff. So they're still bonding together as a team, but a very strong team nonetheless, and one to look forward to coming up in the future for sure.
Like a good cake, it all takes time to bake the ingredients correctly. Jürgen Loacker is at the top of the track. Rico Pater is at the bottom in the leader's box, looking down inside the luxurious inside of a bobsled. Bare carbon and steel. And when you're in St. Moritz and it's -20 out, it's -20 in as well, isn't it? When you grab onto those D-rings, they're cold.
It is, and there is nothing nice about it, trust me. It is cold, and there is no padding, and there is nothing. When you see everybody whipping around in and out, trust me, you feel that on your body every single time.
You feel it when you're riding a sled wearing winter clothes, never mind when you're wearing a swimsuit, essentially, which is what a layer of lycra is. Good start from Loacker and his crew, 497, just whipping a fraction quicker than their first getaway.
Yeah, I mean, generally, Loacker not known for his starts. They're not the fastest starting team. He knows how to drive, though. He's a great pilot, so we'll see. Hopefully he can hang on at the bottom, and we'll see what he can do down through this middle section of the track.
Good speed, 133.8. No one quicker so far. He's come to lead the race now from Rico Pater of Switzerland. Just creeping away fractionally. Is he a little late there? What's about the exit? That's good. Got it nailed. Head tucked down. He puts his head under the cowling as well. Every 100 counts, Kaylee. And that was worth 100. 48.77 slide to take the lead.
It definitely was. That was a great drive by Jürgen. He should be very happy with that.
And that is the quickest that he has come down. Moving up the order into the race lead with 14 sleds to go.
You see those runner tips, they're not really moving. Slight skid. I mean, the sled isn't going perfectly straight. You see it a little bit off center, but the runner tips don't move. And here, he's going dead straight. So the runner tips, again, not moving. He's letting the sled run. He's not trying to steer and control it. And the sled is going straight. Runners are straight. The guys are in the best aerodynamic position. You see him duck his helmet under, again, just to get that little bit more. Every 100th counts, especially on this track, and the aerodynamics make a big difference.
Top of the ice, Francesco Friedrich of Germany. 14th spot, 200s in front of our current leader, Jürgen Loacker of Austria from the first heat. And World Cup rookie. This is his second World Cup weekend, which doesn't mean that he's inexperienced, just that we haven't seen a lot of him on live television.
The Germans have a great depth in their program, and at any given moment, you see the guys on Euro Cup just come up, and they're strong. I mean, he made a huge mistake here coming up in corner 4 in first run, so we'll see if he can fix that for this run, and he does. It's definitely a lot smoother.
Last year he was the champion in Europa Cup. That's the second tier of sliding. Won all 7 two-man races and 2 four-man races in the campaign. That's a pretty dominant young driver.
He has nice exit from 10 down into 11. He'll take his speed nicely down into the bottom. 1500s up. He should definitely gain a few spots with this run here so far.
Carrying the speed well there. He managed to handle a late transition and comes across the line. How far in front? 1100s, 48.68 slide. Christoph Langen, the coach there, looks pretty happy with that. He lives and breathes every inch of these runs, doesn't he?
He does, and it's always great to see Christoph. You see him, he really just tries to, I mean, Darth Vader, the pilot's down the track. He does everything he can, and he really drives with the pilots and tries to feel it out. Very intense, but very, very passionate coach.
Yeah, well, he was always so impassive when he was competing, but you can read him like a book now. He's the most open book there is. Francesco Friedrich of Germany leads at a track that no sled other than a German or a Russian has won at in over a decade. Well, Lyndon Rush at the top of the ice now, but tough times in the two-man race yesterday. Second last to go, and he looked like he was on target for gold medal with Jesse Lumsden behind him until this, Kaylee. It was Lascelles Brown on the back handles. They were up on time, up on speed, and just held it on the corner, I guess, a fraction too long.
They did. It's really hard to tell what happened there. The guys walked away, talked to both this morning. They're both okay. Everything's good. They're ready to go for today, but it definitely, I mean, that's hard.
But you got to get back on the horse that threw you. And Lyndon is looking to move up. Lots of Canadians banging on the hoardings and cheering him on at the top. Will that and will the adrenaline help to get rid of the soreness from yesterday's wreck? Because that's an 85-mile-an-hour crash. How much pain is he going to be feeling today?
He should be okay. Shouldn't be too bad. I mean, he's definitely going to be sore and stiff from a crash for sure. I think the toll definitely comes mentally. He would have had this first run today, coming from the crash yesterday, just trying to make it down, get it through that part safely. Second run, he's going to be able to make a few more risky maneuvers for sure and be letting it run a little bit more. We'll see him there again. Nice smooth transition. He knows what he did wrong yesterday. He's not making those mistakes today. It's going to be very close as he comes across the finish line. 600th up.
There you go, holds his position. Yes, Tom Delahunty, 48.68. Francesco Friedrich came down 48.68. So the gap between them in the first heat is all that remains between them after another 1,300 meters of ice. Well,
it's not where he wants to be, but considering, you know, the crash yesterday, where he is, I mean, he's going full out today. They've got an amazing start. The guys are going full out, trying to give Lyndon everything he's got, and he's got to be happy with that.
It would have been easy and understandable to be a 10th off the start pace, just to hold back a little, but they're not in this business to hold back a little.
No, they are definitely not. These guys are giving it everything they got. They want to be top, and you know, they want to win every single time.
Lyndon Rush leads for Canada. 12 to go here in Park City, Utah. Well, next up at the top of the ice, Corey Butner started outside the top 20 in the draw. Always pressure then because the guillotine falls after the 20 fastest sleds. So when their race is full, you know you really have to perform. So will never do. Charles Berkeley, Johnny Quinn, Nicholas Taylor on the back of Corey Butner's USA 3 sled. 30-year-old former high school basketball player from California turned ice meister. Again, folding their bodies in identically. 486 start, same as their first heat getaway. Good first corner momentum as well. 86 kilometers an hour over 53.5 miles an hour. Just a fraction behind Lyndon Rush, though.
This next time clock will really show us on whether he's able to gain it. 400s down. That was not a good 10 to 11 transition. Skid sideways and a huge hit. Not going to set him up the best for the bottom. Although he knows how to drive this track, unfortunately, he just doesn't have the time and speed going in. Definitely getting a lot more foggy, a lot more humid down at the bottom, and I think it's really going to be tough for these top guys to gain a lot of time.
48.84 slide. He came down 48.36 in the first heat. Drifts away to third spot with 11 sleds still to come. World Cup rookie made his debut last weekend in Lake Placid. Well, Kelly, the fog and the cloud coming down, is that going to affect visibility for the drivers?
It might a little bit. I mean, it is just down at the bottom and it doesn't look very thick, so visibility should be okay.
Well, this is a long shot from the camera, so going through a lot of the water droplets. Close up, looks okay. And there's Corey Butner offering his congratulations to Lyndon Rush and crew, who stay in the leader's box. This is a very, very tight race in this group of sleds. Oskars Melbardis 11th, 100th off 10th, 100th ahead of Corey Butner, and only 400ths ahead, 500ths ahead of Lyndon Rush in the first heat. And again, just the tiniest of errors can easily eat up that kind of margin. Well, from the fastest start, Melbardis only 11th at the bottom of the track, so Lyndon Rush and his crew will be hoping to see him hit things on the way down.
Definitely. I mean, Lyndon put down a good second run. The guys pushed amazing, and they should hopefully move up a couple spots.
4.76 first start, 4.72 the all-time track record, 4.78. Martin Allen and his crew's 4-man record remains alive for another year.
He's still a fairly new pilot, Oskars. And you know what, when he figures out how to be able to put two very consistent runs together, I mean, he's going to be unstoppable. But that comes with time, it comes with experience. generally what happens. You're going to get one good, one bad run. So far, this run seems to be going really great.
But the gap to Lyndon Rush is coming down. He wasn't as quick through Albert's Alley. The speed was not there, down to 1/10 of a second. Living on his first round advantage now. Good straightaway, but Lyndon Rush 1:29.4. The Latvians a fraction quicker, will stay in the lead by 11 hundredths of a second. 48.62 slide.
That was a very good run. Two good consistent runs. You can see week to week his development, how he's learning, more consistency. In 2-man with his start, he's definitely a threat, and you can see he's learning 4-man. They're a threat in 4-man as well.
Tell you what, if the Russians are looking over their shoulder, anyone other than the night train and the Canadians, they'll be looking at these guys as well for Sochi. Another year of driving, and maybe nothing will hold him back. It is Latvia that leads here in Park City. From Canada and Germany, we've got 10 sleds to go. Will anyone other than a Russian win here? Steve Holcomb, the local hero, hopes so. Stay with us to find out.
That was pretty fun.
And there's signs of places right here. Good, you're on good. One coming, yeah. Dad, no wonder you're Quindi mettiamo dentro, no?
Welcome back to a wet Utah Olympic Park. Ice temperature still down at -2.4. Air temperature hovering around -6, -7. But it is the moisture in the air that is likely to affect the track conditions and the moisture on the track. On the left, Oskars Melbardis, our race winner. Our race leader, rather, with 10 to go. Lyndon Rush of Canada is second. And a certain Dan Humphreys has come on to argue with the Olympic stat providers, Infostrada, saying that Lyndon Rush and Dan won a World Cup race here at the beginning of the 2009-10 season. So maybe the last 10 World Cup races have not all fallen to Russian or German crews. Should we say the last 9? Let's do that. Top of the ice is Chris Spring of Canada, Tim Randall, Ben Coakwell and Adam Rozenki trying to hold on to the lead of this race ahead of Melbardis of Latvia.
4.86, consistent. I mean, same first push. Great to see.
486 getaway puts them right in the frame for another top 10 finish. 900ths of a second behind the Latvians. Now they have so much speed at the start, Latvia, that it takes a while for that to dissipate. Now the Canadian sled is going quicker than anyone has at that point.
It is. He's gaining time. He's only 500ths behind now. You know, we're just going to hope that he doesn't run out of track, but so far, 300ths up. I want to see
Nearly ran out of sidewall there. 129.9, just a fraction slower than the Latvians. Very close at the line. 500ths of a second. Top 10 finish for Canada, who? 48.58. Don't forget, we've still got GB to come in the top half dozen. We have still in the top 8. We've still got 2 US sleds. Russia, Germany, and the Netherlands as well.
You do. Chris had a great drive down at the bottom. I mean, definitely got outbeat by the Latvians at the start, but you've got Tim, Ben, and Adam that really gave it everything they got for Chris, and Chris just, he drove great.
Well, Australia's loss is Canada's gain.
That is not fast, nor is it safe.
No, not comfy. That was the moment of the heart in the mouth.
Yeah, definitely. That's one of those, oh, please, let's just come out of it moments.
Come out shiny side down. Thank you very much.
Yeah, that's corner 13 in there. That seems to be the one that, you know, that just gets a lot of people on this track. That seems to be the corner to have to be able to get.
Well, next up, tied for 8th place, Switzerland's Martin Gallagher. And following him will be the man who set that pace, John Jackson of Great Britain. And there is your leader, Chris Spring. And really great to see Chris and the crew back after that devastating crash in Altenburg last winter.
They've all come out strong. I mean, they've really bonded around this Movember thing. All of the Canadian guys have, but it generally...
Particularly for that crew, a lot of bonding. When you come through such adversity, you get stronger and stronger. 487, little quicker getaway from Gallagher. He knows that a top 6 is on the cards if he gets a great run here.
He does, and he's a strong 4-man pilot, so we should be able to see a great run from him and move up. Only 300s behind now. The next split will really tell us, you know, how much he's actually gaining. 132.8 kilometers per hour, 400s.
Yeah, slower than Spring though. He doesn't have the speed to catch him yet. Can he find it down at the bottom?
Doesn't, but we saw Spring lift up here into corner 13. Gallagher nice and smooth through there. So if he can get this corner and straight down into 15, which he did, heads rattling a little bit from kind of 2-3 and brakeman number 4, but not enough to catch Spring.
48.63. The Swiss, however, are very happy with their progress here in the 4-man. They were ecstatic. Don't forget the Gallagher started 18th in the draw, came down 8th fastest, and has guaranteed himself a top 10 finish.
These two pilots, you've got Chris Spring and Martin Gallagher, both very equal starts at the beginning and very equal driving capability and speeds down at the bottom. Generally, a very matched and very, very close competition between these two.
Yeah, 400ths of a second separating them after 2 runs down this sheet of ice. That is incredibly close. But closer than that, of course, would be a dead heat. And that's what we had between Martin Gallagher and GB1's John Jackson. Stu Benson, Bruce Tasker, and Joel Fearon are the crew of George. George, their 4-man. Inventive names. Some people come up with this Singer sled with work by McLaren International, the Formula 1 team, part of Project 50. Because when we get to Sochi, it'll be 50 years since Nash and Dixon won gold in Eagles 1964. Great Britain bobsled's last Olympic gold medal.
These guys had a great start first run, a great start last week. We're going to see what they can do here. They really got to push it in order to give John everything they got.
4:79 in the first heat. I'm thrilled to be able to sit here and say the second fastest start in the world for Great Britain.
480, very consistent to first run.
This GB crew are so strong. John faded away a little in the second run in the 2-man yesterday, 3-man from 3rd, but he's still holding on to his lead now. 133.4, that's quicker than the Canadian sled of leader Chris Spring.
He does. You can see him really accelerating away at a great straightaway from 10 down into 11. He's got greater speed. He's maintaining over a 10th ahead of Chris Spring. Great start. You saw the 10th difference at the start.
Faster speed as well on the straightaway, and he comes in 1700s up, 48.42. Excellent drive. Wow, the coaches will be thrilled with that. Gary Anderson, the head of the GB Bobsleigh program, is here this weekend as well. And Great Britain put themselves in with a really big shot of a top 6 finish here.
They did. That was a great drive by John, an amazing start in both heats from all 4 of these guys. And I mean, they're only 200ths up from Russia, so they should. It should bode very well.
Yeah.
It made tough competition definitely for the next couple of sleds.
Fantastic to see them so hyped up, so motivated. Do you know what? Maybe like Samson, there is some strength in that facial fungus. They may have to stay with those for the season.
Oh, I hope not.
Oh, it's all right. You're not married to those ones. Alexander Kazyanov of Russia, 6th. Now, there was again a two-way tie here. Just 200s ahead of the two-way tie for 8th position. 4 sleds covered by 200ths of a second. And this is supposed to be one of those tracks that doesn't produce interesting racing. Kazyanov ties with Van Kalker. Great Britain lead. Kazyanov, well, he needs to find a start from somewhere because the British sled 480 were quick away from the blocks 485. All of his first round advantage is gone.
Overall, you see these Russians, they're really, really good 4-man pilots, and you see him just come out. He had great success last year on the World Cup Tour, and so far, I mean, tied for 6th and having a great run.
Same speed as the Brits, but 300s behind, remaining 300s behind.
See, this is where we really saw John break away. 600s now behind. You know, we'll see what happens.
130.8 for Great Britain. He's 700s behind. He can't catch them uphill. He's not got the power. 48.54 slide. He slips down into 2nd place. Pierre Luders probably won't be overly disappointed with that. This is so tight, Kaylee. 4 sleds, 200ths of a second. It's impossible to imagine things aren't going to change. Well, they started strong, but down at the bottom.
You see him come out, he goes straight for that right wall, he hugs that right wall the whole way down. I'm pretty sure he touched on the way up. You can see those shiny lines where all the sleds have gone over. Again, you're going to want to be in those lines every single time. Corner 15 is uphill, and a lot can be won or lost even within that very final corner.
So Great Britain lead, and long-time sparring partners, the Netherlands, next up. Top 6 finish for Edwin van Kalker would post another tick in their Olympic qualification boxes. Brother Arnold at 2, Sybren Jansma 3, Jeroen Piek at 4, and there at the GB Cruel.
All rocking the Movember stashes, hardcore.
Yeah.
Joel Fear on there. We need to get him onto Twitter. The rest of the crew are on Twitter. If you're a Twitter user, you can go and find them. Now, what can this Wolfgang Stanfer-built sled produce? Habitually, they really cleave the air efficiently. They don't look high-tech in any way, but Stanfer knows what he's doing. 483 and a little bit of a rocky load, but matching their first speed.
Corner 1 was really rough. They came out of the grooves there. Still, the guys are getting settled into the sled, and that's an example of when you see the sled go sideways. You don't want the sideways motion. You don't want that fish action going in, and that killed any advantage they had at the start, and you're seeing that 100% down here by the bottom.
But you don't want to see anybody else make mistakes, but if they do, you'll take them happily when you're in the leader's box, right?
You will, but you also see the head of Arnold, number 2, whipping here back and forth. Again, aerodynamically not safe. Definitely a rough transition into there, 12 to 13. You saw the back of that sled lift up as well.
They're going to drop from 6 down to the bottom of the top 10 and maybe further. Not great speed at the bottom, down to 12th position. Great Britain guaranteed a top 6 finish. And that is a very big feather in their caps. And it may not yet be over. The group are so tightly tied here just outside the top 4.
And that's what you get. I mean, it's very, very tight racing, and it's all about consistency, especially as a pilot. The brakemen, the crewmen, they did everything they can to put themselves in the best possible position. You see the heads here whipping back and forth. Look at the guy in number 2. You shouldn't be able to A, see him, you should not be above the pilot, and B, you don't want that extra movement. You're going to see the back of the sled lift up here. This is going into corner 13. This is probably the harsh corner on this track, and you can tell with Edwin not happy with that drive at all.
Well, you think this sled weighs 1,300 pounds fully laden, and it's just bounced 1.5 feet up in the air. That's the forces involved in these tracks.
You want to fly, but not in the air.
Yeah,
you
not
want to be
literally.
going, as fast as possible, flying down the track, all 4 runners on the ice.
Great Britain lead, USA 2, one of 2 US sleds in the top 5, are next on the ice. There are your leaders, Nick Cunningham, Adam Clark, Andreas Drabble, Chris Vogt on the back of the USA 2 sled.
These guys were only 1/100th ahead of the Brits, who are now at the bottom. Had a good second run. Everything's going to come down to their start here. They've got a bit of a start advantage, very similar to the GB, and it'll come down to Nick's driving capabilities.
Let's see what he can do. A little slow getting in, 4:78. They really know the pressure is on. They want to advance and maybe try and get onto the podium as they did in Lake Placid's 4-man race. Cunningham paid his way through college as a bull rider. It's just got to be one of the least ice-related sports you can possibly imagine. 1:33.2, good speed, but the Brits were quicker.
They did. Nick comes from decathlon in track and field, so he does also have that athletic background, not just a straight cowboy.
200ths of a second. What is going on? 1:30.8 was the speed of Britain, 1:30.5. This is going to be to the 100th. We might even have a tie here. Oh, he stays in front. He found something at the back and takes the lead, guarantees a top 5 finish. Mike Cohen and Brian Scheimer very happy with that.
Yeah, this is definitely Nick's breakout season. I can see it, I can feel it. He drove the bottom of that track very well, very consistent. He's showing he's top-class pilot.
One 4-man podium last weekend.
You see the load here. The guys get a little bit hung up on the load. Little bit of cross confusion, all trying to get in. They're out of the grooves by this point. Definitely not an experienced crew, not in and down, but they were able to keep this sled going straight, no sideways action. Didn't cost them anything.
John Jackson still with great speed at the bottom. Cunningham just within a whisker. 1/3 of a kilometre an hour. And he has the lead with 4 to go here in Park City. Will we get 2 American sleds on the podium? It is not beyond the bounds of possibility. And Max Hart being yelled on by a host of Germans at the top. Marco Hubenbecker is in, Alex Mann and Alex Rödinger. Ooh! On the wall on the inside, Kaylee, just about the first obstacle he ran into.
Yeah, definitely. Any type of hit in the top couple corners, I mean, any advantage you had at the start is now gone, and you're going to see it. You don't expect that from a German. You definitely don't. They are top drivers in the world, and unfortunately, I think we're going to see him lose a bit of time, although he seems to be saying great, so maybe not.
Speed was really good, 1:33.6, quickest we've seen, 83 miles an hour exactly. 83 miles an hour. Opening up the lead over Nick Cunningham.
Yeah, Max is definitely not focusing on staying ahead of Cunningham. He's definitely gunning for Manuel, Steven, and Alexander in the top positions. You saw that great drive, made a huge mistake in corner 1, but came back from it strong.
Top speed.
Didn't let it affect him. That is
That's Marco Hubenbecker, absolutely stoked. Top speed through both speed guns, 1:31.8 down at the bottom. We've seen nobody that quick in this race.
You see him come around corner 1 here. As soon as he drives it and touches it, it just dive bombs down, hits the wall, comes across, hits the wall again. I mean, 2 major hits in the top of the track. It's not ideal. It didn't seem to cost him any time, and it didn't seem to phase him. He got it back by corner 2, had a solid drive the rest of the time down. I mean, that's experience right there.
Yeah, look at that speed.
Very impressive.
And the crew, well drilled, nailed in behind. Even Marco Hubenbecker there on the left, who's like 6'7", and Alex Mann, the guns that hauled Hubenbecker in last weekend. Next up, our final 3 sleds. So Germany lead. We've got 1 German, 1 US, and 1 Russian sled remaining. And we're going to have 3 different nations on the podium here. Germany and Russia with an enviable World Cup history in this Park City track. No other nation has won in the last 10 years of World Cup races here. Mangon Bahata, the slowest starting of the 3 German sleds, just 11th quickest in heat 1, 4:86, 4:85. They all rattle in behind him. Can he drive himself to a medal? Martin Haber alongside me, Olympic champion Kaylee Humphries. Kaylee, 700ths of a second between these 2 German sleds, out to 8th, but a wild ride there.
He did. He definitely had a big wave, came late into corner 6, missed the pressure a little bit, but he's also letting it run. And sometimes a wave, if you're letting it run, isn't very detrimental at all.
Down on speed to his teammate, but he's holding the slenderest of margins. Little skid that everybody takes there on the run. 1:32.2, he's the fastest. He is going to take the lead and guarantee himself a medal with a 48.33 slide.
He definitely is. Manu is one of the most experienced pilots. He's definitely somebody I personally look up to, and you know, didn't let it affect him. Overall, I mean, he did the bottom extremely well. Very good run.
82.7 miles an hour at corner 6. Out of corner 14, he's still going 82.2 miles an hour. That's how consistent the speeds are on this track. Well, he wasn't overjoyed with that. Too many mistakes creeping in for his liking. Guarantees himself a medal. But from 1200s off the lead, maybe he thought he could win it, Kaylee.
He definitely would have thought that. I mean, no one goes into the race, especially at this level, top 3 guys, not thinking that you have a shot in winning it and not trying to give it every single thing you got. So any tiny little bump you have, just, it seems to double in your head.
Yesterday, through the snow, Stephen Holcomb claimed victory in the 2-man race, bearing allegiance to the memory of Dewdrop Morgan, one of the greats of US bobsledding, who passed away at his hometown of Lake Placid earlier this week. Thomas Savage behind him for the first time this season. Joined me in the booth, went and won the race. Talks a good race, pushes a good race, and he's on the back of this sled with Stephen Langton and Justin Olsen in front of him. Look at them steaming like thoroughbred racehorses at the top. They need a big start. 4:79 in the first heat, 4:79 in the second.
Very good start, very impressive, very consistent.
Well, Holcomb has tidying up to do. Wasn't the greatest first heat. He came down 900s behind Alexander Zubkov. If he can be neat, he can win this, Kaylee.
He definitely can. Got a lot of potential. He knows this track. One of my favorite 4-man pilots, definitely.
Not as fast as the Russian sleds, as the German sleds, rather. 132, not 133.
Leg tap on the straightaway as he came out of 10, but again, going in a straight line, and those taps don't cost much.
Drifting to only 500ths of a second in front. Speed at the bottom from the Germans, 132. Holcomb only at 130. Will he be in the lead? My goodness. Remind me again, this is one of those tracks they say that's dull to watch bobsleigh racing on. Are you kidding me?
When it comes down to hundredths of a second, I mean, a hundredth of a second is less than the width of a hair. So 200ths right there. What Holcomb just beat Manuel Mahara by is probably the width of a hair. You know, he's obviously chasing Alexander Zubkov. Zubkov has a 10th on him. We'll see if that's going to be good enough to win it overall, but he set himself up in a great position. As you see him come off the corner there, a light rub on the left-hand side. Not ideal, not bad. You see him come out of here in corner 14, dead straight, all the way down into 15 in the uphill section. That's where, you know, he really saved himself.
Well, there's Mahata offering his congratulations. Steve Holcomb now has, what, about a minute and 45 seconds to wait to see whether he or Alexander Zubkov will win gold medal number 2 of the season. Zubkov, the winner last weekend in Lake Placid. Of course, a US track, but this is Stephen Holcomb's home. This is where he grew up. He went to school in the facility here at the sports school, from ski bum to bobsledder, through crippling eye illness to Olympic champion. But what has Zubkov got?
These guys, again, should equal what Holcomb did at the start. 481.
Ooh, couple of hundreds. He was only 9 in front. 2 have gone at the start alone.
2 are done, but he is a great pilot, and we should see him come back.
700ths is the margin as he sits down.
This is definitely Zubkov's race to lose.
Wow.
1400ths up now, so he seems to be steaming away, but Holcomb drove this part of the track extremely well, so.
Great speed, quicker than anybody else at that stage.
1600s up, that was the best straightaway we've seen of the day. He's just going to keep getting farther and farther in front of everybody.
You almost think this is the last few races before Sochi. Such is the peak that Zubkov has reached. 131.5, quicker than the Americans to take the second gold medal of the season with a flamboyant slide across the line. Pierre Luders, the coach, is happy. That run only 300ths of a second quicker than Holcomb, but it's the 2 that tally up that count, and Zubkov claims gold medal number 2 of the 4-man World Cup season. Christoph Langen and the other German coaches offer their congratulations, as does Sanders Prusis of Latvia to the winning coach Christoph Langen. Beg your pardon, the winning coach Pierre Luders. Christoph Langen offering his congratulations, and the Russians looking happy.
Good job.
It was a good job. Evgeny Popov in the cap, one of their former top drivers. He's now on the coaching staff as well. Oh, Zubkov is in pretty impressive form, isn't he?
He is. He definitely is. It's very impressive to watch in 4man. He's got everything. He's got the start. He knows how to drive. It's very consistent. It looks smooth. It's fast. It looks strong, especially right here at the start. I mean, it's impressive.
2010, Stephen Holcomb and the Night Train took the Olympic gold medal. Zubkov is not in any mind to allow them to come to his backyard in Sochi in Russia and do the same in February 2014. There is still all the way through this man. Former luger turned bobsledder. He really is the full package for Russia. He's got the years, but that means he's got the experience to deal with changeable weather, Kaylee, with changing ice, with all the pressures. He just responds so well to them.
He does.
Well, Stephen Holcomb, silver medal for the second weekend. We talked to him in Lake Placid, he said, no, I'm not disappointed. Silver medal behind Zubkov is great. It's a really good run. We'll win races. Don't worry, we will win races. Alexander Zubkov, though, he takes his second gold medal of the season. German sleds third and fourth. Nick Cunningham in fifth position for the USA. And a great run for John Jackson of Great Britain as well. Sixth spot for the GB1 team. Very impressive start to their season. That is our top 20. We'll be back with our top 3 interviews right after this. Tell you what, don't we? Welcome back to Park City, Utah, as the rain has arrived at the end of the second Wiesmann World Cup weekend of the season. The 4-man bobsleigh race, as in Lake Placid a week ago, falling to Alexander Zubkov. Next week, can we expect different? Kaylee Humphries, we head to your home ice in Canada, to Whistler, the fastest track on the planet. Big breaths before we go off the top of there, I think.
Definitely. I mean, big breaths before other corners around the world too. It's all what you know. And it's all very individual, as you can see here. The skeleton sled going into corner 1, and the sled just keeps getting faster and faster as it comes down. 2 is a big corner. As you come into 3, just kind of on off. 4, people have crashed there. Very easy to just let it go from there.
Yeah. A lot of speed, a lot of corners, a lot of ice to deal with. That's all next week. For the moment, though, Alexander Zubkov keeps a perfect four-man record as he wins his second gold medal of the season. Lake Placid and Park City, Utah have both fallen to the Russian driver. And just to correct my poor reading of a good stat, the nice folks at Infostrada say that the stat is Germany and Russia between them have won the last 10 straight World Cup races on all tracks, not just specifically at Park City, Utah. Well, there is Alexander Zubkov, your race winner. Everybody now in a rush to get the tracks filled with sleds to head off to Whistler. But for Zubkov, it's a perfect start to the season. 2 races, 2 golds. Let's get down and hear from our top 3. John Morgan is with them in the finish area.
Okay, the flower ceremony down here at the second World Cup in Park City. Okay, come on in. Cassidy, come on in. Come on. Here we go, flowers, please. Give the flowers out. Thank you. Third place over here on the podium, Team Manuel Mahada. Manuel, happy with your runs?
Not really. It was quite good runs, but like a lot of hundreds missing. So we try to better next time, and we'll see.
How'd you like your team?
Yeah, team is great. So we have a lot of fun, and now we try to push harder and be fast on the track as well in the next week.
The loads look good. Congratulations, bronze medal. Now over to the team, Stephen Holcomb and the Night Train. Happy with both runs?
Yeah, I mean, transitioning from the 2-man, which I haven't been in a long time, they're considerably different, and I think I adapted pretty well. Not as great as I wanted, but getting beat by Zubkov, who's one of the most experienced pilots in the world, it's hard to say that it's hard to be upset, but I drove well. These guys pushed awesome, had a great day, and the Night Train's still fast, and I'm still having a good time.
4:79 starts both times. Justin, you happy with that?
Yeah, I think that's the fastest we've pushed since I've been on the team in 5 years. So we're happy with the 79. I know it's early in the season, and we just got room to improve.
Well, bobsledding's about consistency. 2 starts exactly the same. Good job. Congratulations. Now Alexander. Alexander, here we go. Gold medal. You new sled. You 2 golds.
Да, очень приятно. Машина очень великолепно ведет себя на треке. Хотел поблагодарить механика, который делает всю работу в нужном направлении. Я думаю, что дальше будет все интереснее и интереснее. Спасибо всем.
Congratulations to Russia. They like the equipment. Congratulations to everybody.
Well, Alexander Zubkov can't have too many complaints. Big starts from the crew. He's driving superbly. The kit is working well. 2 starts, 2 gold medals. And Steve Holcomb hot on his heels still. And they are 1-2 in our World Cup rankings. Kaylee Humphries. It's going to be tough to separate those 2 with anything but the finest of hairs, even when we get to Whistler next week.
It definitely is. I mean, those 2 are 2 of the most experienced and 2 of the top pilots in the world, and they have been for a while. There's not much difference between them. It's going to come down to the starts, and it's going to come down to the track, and just who feels more comfortable and who's more ready on that day.
And that finishes our action from Park City, Utah. The Utah Olympic Park back on the World Cup campaign this season, and we head next week to Whistler in Canada. Well, for Steve Holcomb, returning home, very important. He grew up here, riding around the mountains in the summer on his mountain bike and in the winter on his skis, and just on an off chance, on a whim, applied for the US selection to go bobsledding, and within a couple of months, having just gone to college, he was just leaving college as he got the call up for the World Cup crew. And from there on, well, you'll have to read a little bit more about it in his book. And Now I See. It's out in time for Christmas at booksellers across the US, and I'm sure online. I picked up a copy yesterday, a couple of days ago, and it's a very interesting story. A lot of people probably don't know that he was close to almost total blindness when he was still driving bobsleds, and some very radical surgery has restored his sight to allow him to become the Olympic champion. Well, it's a great human story, as there are so many of in this sport. My thanks to Kaylee Humphries for being with us, and to all our broadcast partners this weekend, all of whom have had pretty decent weekends outside the booth, if not inside it. From Martin Haven and the rest of the FIBT TV crew here in Park City, thank you for joining us. We'll be with you next weekend from Whistler in beautiful British Columbia. Till then, it's goodbye from Utah.